Good morning. Hello, and welcome to the first Primary Focus live stream of 2024. I'm so happy you're here today. Here in Charlotte, it is a rainy, gross day. I think it's going to rain all day long. So if it's like that where you are today, thanks for cuddling up. Maybe you've got a cup of tea or something. I know I do. And spending a little bit of time with me this morning. If you have not tuned into Primary Focus before, my name is Natalie. I'm the founder of Primary Focus. I was an elementary school teacher for 10 years. Most of that time was in lower elementary. I love kindergarten and first grade. And about 18 months ago, and I can't believe it's been that long, I left teaching to pursue Primary Focus full time. Primary Focus is a space for parents and guardians of children who are in elementary school. Basically, if you have questions about elementary school, which I know so many parents do, if you are having issues or concerns, or you think maybe your child is not in the right placement setting, Primary Focus is a place for you to figure that out. So I've got all sorts of fun, free content on YouTube, long form and short form. I'm having some fun on Instagram if you want to watch me on stories and see my day-to-day as well. And you can also work with me one-on-one. If you live locally in Charlotte, North Carolina, I do some tutoring with lower elementary school students. And then I also work with families too. So for example, if your child's mid-year data just came back and you feel like you really don't understand it, you're not sure what it's telling you, you tried to talk to the teacher, but teachers are so strapped for time, they can only sit down for so long to talk to you about it. I can sit down with you and go over the data and make a personalized learning plan for your child. So you can really determine, do they need a tutor right now? How far behind are they? And what are the steps that you can take as a family to help your child succeed and thrive in school and be ready for next year? I also help out with all sorts of things. If you've got questions, let me know. I'm always on my DMs and my email. hello@primaryfocus.tv is my email. Reach out to me. I would love to hear from you, and I'd love to help out with whatever is going on with your child. Today's live stream is composed of questions I've received over the last several weeks. It's been a little less than a month since my last live stream. So questions I've received and been saving to answer live. A lot of these are questions that I know other people are wondering too. So I just wanted to carve out a little bit of space this morning to go over them. Real quick before I really get started, I know I'm delaying this, please chat with me. I would love to hear from you. Say hello in the chat box live. If you enjoyed this live stream at the end, there are two chat boxes if you're watching live. There's the one where you can chat with me right now. I see Mike is here today. Hello. And then there's the other chat underneath. It's not chat, I guess. It's the actual comments. So I would love, if you're watching with me today, to also leave a comment and like this as well so that other people can watch the live stream and know this is up here. As a consumer of the internet, you have a lot of power. I can do as much marketing and, promoting a video as I want, but it is really the people watching videos that tell the YouTube or TikTok or Instagram that tells them this is something other people should watch too. So as you go out into the internet world, your comments and your likes have a lot of power. So don't be afraid to ever leave a nice comment on somebody's things if it made you laugh. And then one other thing, if I inspired you today, if you want to say thank you, I do have a Buy Me a Coffee link where you can buy me a coffee, leave me a tip, say thanks, and always appreciated if you would like to buy me a coffee. All right, so I've got a couple of topics I want to talk about and then several questions I want to get into. And the first topic that I really want to talk to you about today, I've been waiting to say this. Every parent needs to know, warning bells. This is the time of year where you are starting to get warnings from your child's teacher that your child is not doing well at a specific subject or they're having issues with whatever it is. Right now, we're here in early January. Your school may have wrapped up mid-year testing, or they may just be getting into mid-year testing. So sometime between now and probably mid-February, you are going to get a progress report, a report card, test scores back, just tons of information about how your child is doing at this midway point in the year. I know when I was teaching, I was always told if you think a child is at risk of not moving on to the next grade, or if a child is showing real signs of struggle, you need to say something mid-year. The problem is a lot of us are exhausted mid-year. I think we're all hungover from the holidays. We're all exhausted. This is the time of year that some of us are starting to get a lot of inclement weather. So you're not really worried about school. You're worried about childcare because there's, suddenly a day off of school, but you still have to go to work. And we're just tired and we're busy. And this is when we put our heads down and stop paying attention for a little bit. The kids are settled in. But what I need you to do is just extend your attention a little bit more, find a little more space, and look for those warning signs that your child needs support. Because this time of year, quarter one in the business world and probably like second semester in the school world is when the bulk of the work gets done. Think about it. You just went through, August through December is such a start and stop. There's so many holidays, 3-day weekends. Hey, we're waiting for them to adjust to school. And it's just hard to get a lot of work done, and it's the beginning. This is when all of the learning happens. So if you are getting a sign from your child's teacher that they need help, you can take action steps now and actually support your child and help them. Do not wait till April. Don't wait it out to see if they get better. Jump on it now. And you can actually make a huge difference in your child's life and in their school support. Okay, that's my warning. I'm not trying to scare you. I think it's important to know that you can make a huge difference right now. Question number 1, this is from a newsletter subscriber. If you are a newsletter subscriber and you ask me a question, you get first priority when I do my live streams like this. So thank you to this newsletter subscriber. I think they might be watching right now to hear their question get answered. If you're not a part of the newsletter, I'm going to drop the link here in the chat, newsletter.primaryfocus.tv. I let out my newsletter every Tuesday. And my first of the year will be coming out next week because January 2nd felt like a little too soon for me to start back up. And it's all about tips to help your kids in school, things from the teacher's perspective that I think teachers wish they could explain to parents, education news, and a little bit on child development. So there's a different topic every week, and I love putting it together. A lot of it is based off of my own experience or things that I studied when I was in grad school. Hello, Johns Hopkins. And so I hope you subscribe. So my first question from my newsletter subscriber is, how can I give my child feedback during homework time? My daughter, she's 8 years old, second grade, often disagrees with me when I give feedback. She either doesn't see what she did wrong or cries with frustration. I'm trying to be supportive, but I feel like she doesn't listen to me. I totally get this. I think there's two things going on here. The first is that we could all learn a little bit about confidence from early elementary school age children. There's something so beautiful about trying to tell a child that they've done something wrong. And they're like, I don't see it. I did a great job. And it's just, as the adult, you're looking at this is clearly very wrong, or your handwriting doesn't look good right now. I can't read this. That A is clearly backwards. And to have a kid just straight face look at you and be like, I'm perfect, I was born this way, is just beautiful. But it's also really hard because you are trying to better them and you don't want to open up their eyes and show them hey, no, you need to fix this, because they've got this beautiful veil of innocence, but something's got to be done. So I definitely dealt with this a lot. I have a few ideas here that I'm just going to spitball out. The first is teaching them a reflection scale, because what I don't want to get stuck on here is you did a bad job, this is not good. No. Reflection is the way to go. There is always room for growth, always room to make things better. And then sometimes, and this is a little nuance for little kids, it's just that decision if you're going to go back and make it better, or is this good enough for what you need to do? But for small kids, just a basic reflection. Here's what I did. Here are some ways that I can prove it. here are some ways that like I'm really confident with what I did, and help them just like sort through and develop these thoughts. So you could do like a good, better, best. I did a good job at this. This is something, but this was my good job. Here's an example of a better job, and this is what a best looks like. And that's always fun, especially like for writing. You can show them like, a good job might be like one sentence, but a better job is like a sentence that has some adjectives in it. And your best job might be like, you actually did 2 sentences and it's easy to read. So they can at least like understand like what it looks like. And you're kind of taking the negative out of there and just always striving them to do a little bit better. Some people also do like fist to 5, which is, not good in kindergarten, I don't think, but like if your child is in 2nd grade, having a scale of 5, like fist is a 0. So like I did, you could ask like, how well do you understand this concept that we just did? A fist is like, I'm totally confused, I'm lost. On 1, a 2, a 3, 4, and a 5 is like, I understand this so well that I could be the teacher and teach you how to do this. And then also you could do like a 3-star scale. So there's different approaches for this. Scales take time to learn. So what I would do is try one and stick to it, and on a daily basis, use this scale to rate and have them reflect. It is a skill to self-critique. It is a skill to reflect. But if they rate something really high, let's say like they showed you their work and like, a fist of 5, this is a 5. I'm so good, I could be teaching it. Something that you can remind them is like, we can't just give everything a 5. 5 is a special occasion. Most of the time you're going to land at like, if you understood it and you did enough, a 4. If you need a little bit of help still, but you think you're getting better, a 3. And a 5 is special. And if we gave everything a 5, well, we'd have to do like 0 to 6. And we reserve 5 for our best work. So even if they don't follow this scale, you can get them to list ideas of improvement and strength. And then just don't harp too long on the reflection process either. It should be brief. It should be a couple of minutes, because if they're getting frustrated and crying, they're also tired. And you have to kind of pick and choose if they're going to take the time to reflect, talk about it, and if they're going to go back and fix it. And what I would do here, like let's say you've got, 3 math problems that are the same and they got one wrong. Maybe in the fist to 5 reflection, they give you a 2. They're like, I'm really not understanding this. I need help. Oh, there go my reactions. How do I turn that off? I've turned that off everywhere else, but they still appear when I live stream. Anyway, if they're saying they have math, they gave you a 2 on a math problem, and you know that you've got several more that are pretty similar to answer here, you can, I'm sorry, those balloons just throw me off. You can maybe just sit and like correct that one with them, and then have them do the problem again in a minute and say, okay, now that we've done the problem twice, are you still at a 2? Or are you at a 3 now? And just move from there. Give me just a moment here. My AC just cut on, and I feel like you guys can probably hear that. And it's definitely not the AC, it is my heat. Okay. The next thing I'd say here is if they're crying a lot, you should do an efficiency check and an environment check about your homework time. So have you set expectations about what homework time looks like? Are they starting homework in a good mind space where everyone's feeling good? Have you, and this is important because if homework time is getting rushed in, and homework time's always getting rushed in, but like if there's a high stress feeling about homework, if there's an annoyance in the air about homework, they are set up to start crying from frustration, even if they did a good job during homework time. Like, it's just the feeling of stress is not good. Have you set an agenda for homework time? So something that can be really helpful with kids is to make like a checklist, or like put all the homework on one side of the table. And then as you finish each thing, the done pile gets bigger and bigger. And just talk them through and be like, okay, we're going to sit for about like 35 minutes here. First, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. You could even ask them, like, do you want to start with like the trickiest one first? Or do you want to start with like a easier one just to like get your mind going, and let them feel like they have a little bit of control. Timers are really important here. If they are dragging things on and just making homework time worse for themselves, timers are really great to say like, okay, like you're going to sit and you're going to work for about 3 minutes here. And then you need to be done. And it's clunky at first, but if you do it on a daily basis, it just helps them make that routine. Just set expectations, build into them, and then build in brain breaks too. You don't want a child to be like working for too long because they'll just get tired and it's hard to come back once they're tired. So, after 5-10 minutes, just like let them stretch for a second. They don't need to like walk away. Like a 30-second break is enough, but just enough to kind of like take that breath and then move into the next thing. It's as simple as like asking them a question and having like a moment of small talk. And then the last thing I'd ask is like, if things are broken down really badly, is it time to outsource homework? Now, I know like hiring a tutor is definitely something that costs money. Not everybody can do that or has the time to take their child to a tutor. But like, if homework is ruining your relationship with your child, it might be a time to see, is there somebody in their life that could be doing homework with them? Because what you don't want is to have like a 45-minute fight with your child and then like still have to be doing all of your tasks, and like have dinner and like, you're dealing, if you have other children, it can be a hard thing. And one of the students that I tutor actually, they do need some support in school, but their family reached out to me because their child was just being such a pain during homework time that it was ruining their relationship. And she's like, every evening it's just like tears and a fight. And I don't want this to be my life with my child. And so we do some tutoring together, and I think it helps a lot. Like, it's not every night of the week, but we get a lot done in that time that I'm together. And then the parents just do like what little bit is left. And I think it's helped their relationship a lot because I can be their child's going to act differently with me than they will with their parents. Like, that child is not going to take as many risks. They're not going to throw down in the library. They're going to do a little bit more work, and I can set up different expectations than a family can. Okay. That was a lot. Let me just check here. Thank you. I've got several people watching with me today. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. My name is Natalie. Real quick, I just wanted to share a little bit about me. I am reading, I haven't started it yet. I just picked it from the library, but right now I'm reading The Silent Patient. And I've heard from a lot of people this is a really good one. So I am super excited about that. I want to know what you're reading. Drop it in the chat box. What is on your book list? And audiobooks do count as reading, so please don't be shy to share that. And let's see, I just finished up the Ellen Hilderbrand series, the Winter House series, and it's like 4 Christmas novels, and I listen to like 1 or 2 every year on audiobook. So they're just very, very feel good. It's not usually a genre that I would pick, but they were really nice to listen to on audiobook. And let's see, in terms of New Year's resolutions, something that I really want to stay true to this year is taking time to journal and do a little like meditation and deep breathing. I feel like I've been very caught up in like the role of moving forward and always thinking about the future. And I'd like to be a little bit more in the present and just help myself that way. So if you've got any kind of mindfulness New Year's resolutions, please send me a mindful emoji in the chat right now. I would love to see what you'd pick out, but maybe we can help each other out as well with this kind of thing. Again, if you would like to sign up for my newsletter or send me a tip or you have questions, I've dropped those links in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and add my email into the chat as well. But let's get into our next question. And this one came from an Instagram follower today. And this one says, how do you help a student with a disability? This is a very broad question because there are so many types of disabilities in schools. And I can look at it from the perspective of how would a teacher help, how would a parent help, how would a student help. So I'm going to try and keep those things in mind and give a broad answer to this. But something that I think is really important to point out is that there is a lot of ableism in our world. Ableism might be a newer term to you. I learned about it maybe 2 years ago. It's something that I believe is spoken about a lot in specific communities, but the general population, I think, doesn't know about ableism. And the definition of that is discrimination in favor of able-bodied people. And it's everywhere. I want you to think about every time you go into a building and there is, there are a bunch of steps to go up, and there may or may not be a ramp, or the ramp is not in a convenient location. That's ableism. That is a world built for people that are able-bodied. It's everywhere, and our society functions as though everyone is able-bodied. And it seems that very often we won't adjust unless there's a lawsuit or a protest or something like that. A lot of this is because, there are very terrible people out there that actually hold beliefs that people that aren't able-bodied or aren't good. I don't hold those beliefs, and I don't think we should. But I think a lot of people just really lack empathy and understanding. And once you know more about ableism and all of the ways that we are hurting people in society, you start to see it everywhere, and hopefully start to adjust some of your own mindset and the things that you're saying. I think teachers need to know about ableism, especially because they are responsible and supposed to be providing a nourishing, safe space for their students. But never assume that your child's teacher, or if you are the student, your teacher knows all the information that they should. Even if your child has an IEP, an individualized education plan, or a 504 plan, parents should be reaching out to make sure that the teacher saw it, had time to read through with it, and ask if there are any questions. The closer to the beginning of the school year or the semester, whatever it is, the better. You may find that the teacher isn't going to discuss wholeheartedly over email. I think you can reach out and ask and say, do you have any questions? Can we hop on the phone? There are a lot of privacy laws when it comes to working with children with disabilities to protect them. So if you find that they're being a little not as forthcoming as you would want, it might be because you're doing it over email and they're concerned about, your email's getting hacked. There are a lot of laws around protecting children. So don't ever be afraid to, ask if you want to hop on the phone or have a quick meeting or just say hey, did you read this? Do you have questions? And as your child gets older, you should be teaching them how to advocate for their needs. But I want to say here, there is nuance with this. What we don't want is your child to see something happening and have them be, shouting, I have a disability, or I have this diagnosis. That is something that, maybe might not feel good for the child. But also, again, there are so many privacy laws that teacher is supposed to protect your child's privacy. Even if they're screaming about their disability, they might not feel comfortable acknowledging it and validating that child if it's happening in front of a room full of kids. And it's a very funny situation, but we also don't want to accidentally say the wrong thing or embarrass them. So what I would do is teach your child to gently nudge the teacher. If they have to say something more publicly or raise a hand, I see better up front. We're starting a quiz. Do I need to go to Mrs. So-and-so's room? And, drop them a note and say I'm having trouble with where I'm sitting in class. Can you help me with this? Coming and teaching them how to build that private space to have that talk and what it looks like to maybe be patient for a second longer or remind the teacher if it's not happening. This is not as much for elementary school students, but I think in middle school, especially as kids are switching to more and more teachers, it's really important to remind them because teachers have much larger caseloads of students. And then especially getting into high school, the goal is that the child has an independent life and knows how to advocate for themselves. And, high school will turn into them at their job having to advocate for themselves. So that practice is really important. And then the other thing I'll say is disabilities do not come with manuals. So teachers are learning as they go, and families are learning as they go. So reflecting on past experiences, taking time to write down notes about things that have been successful, things that haven't been, can help everybody get on board faster. Something that I always tried to do if I had a student with a disability and they were moving on to the next grade level, I would try to find that teacher. Often that teacher would reach out to me first, and we would try to have a little meeting and say hey, this is what I did based on the plans. This is what did work. This is what didn't work. But that doesn't always happen. Or maybe your child changed schools and those teachers are not going to be able to find each other and reach out to each other. So you as the parent or you as the student can kind of facilitate that conversation at the beginning to help make sure that you as a student or your child as a student is getting what they need. I think a little bit of communication and just over communication can be really, really helpful. And then you can take it from there. I have said IEP and I've said 504 plan. If your child is diagnosed with a disability, they probably should have one of these plans. There are some cases where children may not need it, but a 504 plan is, and I forget what law it's based off of, but 504 comes from the legal, it comes from the name of the law that created this document. But a 504 plan basically means that if your child has a special need, whether it's, they broke their leg and they're going to have to take the elevator that is reserved for staff for the next couple months. Your child might get a 504 plan that says hey, even though students aren't allowed to be in the elevator, this child has something special going on and they need the elevator key. So they are, allowed to do this. And they might be late to class because the elevator's slow, on and on. And then it can go up to that can also be special accommodations hey, my child is diagnosed with ADHD. They really need to be sitting right up at front and center. And that is, the 504 is their reservation ticket. It's saying nope, we got a seat right here for you, kiddo. Why don't you come sit up front? And that will be observed and honored even if you change schools from one school year to the next. An IEP is an individualized education plan, and that is going to be the next level saying, hey, my child is eligible to get special education services as well. They're going to be working with a special education teacher in some way or another. That document is typically longer term. There are annual meetings that go with that, whereas a 504 plan is more flexible to set the time. If you have questions about this, please reach out to me, and please reach out to your school too, because a lot of times what it takes is you sending an email saying, hey, I think my child needs this. Can you please do some testing, or can we please set up a meeting to get my child what they need? All right, I've talked a lot on that, but it's a very important issue, and it's a fuzzy issue because there's a lot of legal things involved too. And then my third question and my last question for the day came from one of my YouTube subscribers, and they asked me, do I miss teaching? And so it's been about 18 months since I left the classroom. And my answer to that, do I miss teaching, is yes and no. There are absolutely things that I miss. And a lot of it is people and my students. I miss my students a lot. I miss the community that you build in a classroom. There is a certain point, usually in the springtime, where you've had your class all year long and you all know each other's personalities so well. It's a beautiful thing to create a classroom environment. And I really do miss that. I miss the camaraderie. I feel like teachers really root each other on. And I missed getting to know parents in the classroom. Those are things that I miss. But overall, no, I don't miss teaching. And that's because it was time to go. And I don't know if you've ever reached a point in your life where it was time to go, time to leave something. But that's where I was. I was really frustrated with how I was being treated, not by my colleagues, not by my principal, but by the state and by the country and by these big bureaucratic systems that were making it very hard to do my job. I felt like some of the curriculum that I was being forced to teach was not actually benefiting my students, and that was really hard to fight against. I felt like I needed to go to the bathroom all the time, and I wasn't, I would have to fight for that, and it kind of stinks as an adult to have to call the office to get an adult so that you can go to the bathroom for 30 seconds. And if you worked with me, you will know that I was very aggressive about that because I really wanted that 30 seconds to use the restroom, but it's not fun. It wasn't fun that your schedule isn't built in that you can easily do that. I wanted to have a consistent lunch break, and that wasn't always the case. So, and I wanted to be paid fairly for what I did. And you can build as much classroom community as you want, and you can work with the best students in the world and things like, and the best families in the world, which I feel like I did. I had such amazing community. But if you have to put aside your humanness, if you have to put aside your humanity and your basic needs and your hunger and all that to go to work, it's difficult. It is difficult. And I think after 10 years of that and hoping and wishing the system would change, it was time for me to make a change. And I stumbled into primary focus, and I love it because I'm building a community, I'm building a business, and I'm using all of these skills that I loved. I'm bumping into old students still when I go out into the community, but I am using all of these skills and just building them in a better way where I can be myself, and have a flexible schedule and not have to be asking permission for basic human needs, but still nurturing the world and giving back in a way that works for me. So I do miss teaching and I don't miss teaching, but I'm very, very, very excited about primary focus and what I'm building. And if you are watching with me right now, thank you for being a part of that. I really appreciate it. And I just want to remind you how powerful it is to comment on things, how powerful it is to like things, how powerful it is to share things. You as a viewer have a currency with those, with your likes, your shares, your comments. So thank you for doing that today. If you liked this live stream, I encourage you to go down to the comments section and leave a comment saying thank you. If you know somebody that maybe one of the questions I answered today applies to them or something they need to think about, send this to them, let them know. And I encourage you, if you have other creators that are doing things like I am, to do the same practices with them too. Anyway, my name is Natalie. Please don't forget to reach out to me. You can buy me a coffee to say thank you. You can email me hello@primaryfocus.tv if you've got questions about your kiddo or want a little bit of help. And of course, sign up for my newsletter.primaryfocus.tv. Thanks for being here today. Happy New Year and have a great weekend. Bye.